It was nearly midnight when John Kennedy pulled his black hoodie over his head and stepped out of his car, parked in the farthest corner of the lot behind the strip mall. Rain tapped gently against the windshield as he paused to look at the glowing sign above his business, Kennedy's Market, where community comes first. It was supposed to be a slogan, a promise. But tonight, John wasn't sure if his business was still living up to those words. Something had felt off lately. Sales were down, customer complaints were up, and the spark that once made the store a local gem seemed to have flickered. But he wasn't here tonight as the owner, not officially. He wanted to see it all with his own eyes, without the fanfare, without anyone knowing who he was. So, he dressed like any other late-night shopper and walked through the sliding glass doors of the store he'd built from scratch, with nothing but a dream and a few $1,000 saved from waiting tables and fixing up cars in his 20s. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead as he stepped into the near-empty aisles. Only a handful of customers drifted quietly between shelves. It was the slowest hour of the day, just before closing. But it was exactly the right time for John to observe what no sales report or store manager would tell him. He walked slowly past the cereal aisle, noticing the outdated labels and dust gathering near the back of the shelves. Then past produce, where half the apples were bruised. He made a mental note of it, but said nothing. He wasn't ready to reveal himself yet. As he approached the front of the store, the soft sound of crying stopped him in his tracks. It was coming from the front register. He peeked around the corner and saw a young woman hunched behind the counter, wiping tears quickly from her eyes as she tried to scan a pack of gum for an elderly customer. Her hands were shaking. The customer, a sweet-faced older man in a Vietnam vet cap, looked concerned. "You're okay, sweetheart?" he asked gently. The cashier, whose name tag read Maya, forced a smile through her tears. "I'm fine, Mr. Collins. Just a long day." Mr. Collins hesitated. "You sure? You look like you've had a week, not just a day." John's chest tightened. He stood hidden behind a shelf of discounted greeting cards, watching as Maya scanned items and wiped her face when she thought no one was looking. Something about her seemed familiar, the way she smiled to mask pain, the way she still treated the customer with kindness, even while clearly battling something inside. After Mr. Collins left with his groceries and a gentle pat on Maya's hand, John walked over slowly. "Excuse me," he said softly, still pulling off the customer act. "I hate to ask, but are you okay?" Maya quickly straightened, the smile returning. "Yes, I'm okay, thank you. Just a bit emotional, I guess." "It's been a rough night, I can tell," John replied, his voice calm. "Do you mind if I ask what happened?" Maya looked around, hesitating. The store was nearly empty, and it was close to closing. Something in John's voice made her feel safe enough to answer. "I got a call during my break. My mum's in the hospital again, and I can't even afford to go see her because I've picked up every shift I could, just trying to make rent." She looked down, her voice breaking. "I work here, full time. I've worked here for over a year, and I love my job, I really do. But lately, I just feel like I'm drowning, like no one notices how hard we work. The manager won't approve my overtime anymore. And when I asked for a raise, she laughed and said, maybe next year. But my mum might not even make it to next year." John stood there in silence, guilt building like a storm inside him. He had built this company with a mission to care for people, to offer more than just groceries, but somehow, in the growth and the spreadsheets and the expansion talks, he had lost sight of the people like Maya who made the store what it was. "I'm sorry," Maya said, snapping him out of his thoughts. "I shouldn't be unloading all of this on a stranger. That's not professional." John shook his head, lowering his hood and extending his hand. "You're not unloading on a stranger, Maya," he said gently. "You're talking to the owner. I'm John Kennedy." Her eyes widened, and her mouth fell open slightly. Wait, ... seriously. I came in tonight to see what was really happening here, without all the reports and filters, and I'm glad I did." His voice was soft, but firm. "I had no idea any of this was going on, but I promise you, things are going to change." She blinked, unsure how to react. "I mean it," he added. "I started this store because I wanted to build something that cared for people, not just customers, the people who work here too. Somewhere along the line, I lost track of that. But you reminded me tonight." Just then, the manager came walking up briskly, her clipboard in hand. "Excuse me, sir. You can't be behind the counter, and Maya still has to close." John turned to her. "It's okay, she'll be off early tonight. And starting tomorrow, you and I are going to have a serious talk about how we treat our employees." The manager looked confused. "Wait, who?" "I'm John Kennedy," he said again, calmly. "The owner, and from now on, this place is going back to what it was meant to be." By the next morning, word had spread across the store like wildfire. Maya received a fully paid leave of absence to visit her mum, along with a surprise bonus for her dedication. John sat down personally with every employee over the next week, listening to their stories, their challenges, and their ideas. He restructured the schedule, gave raises where they were overdue, and installed an anonymous feedback box that he personally read weekly. He even set up a hardship fund for employees going through difficult times, because no one should have to choose between work and family. And Maya, her mother, pulled through. After a few weeks, she returned to work, not just as a cashier, but as the new assistant store manager. Her strength, compassion, and leadership had inspired John to create a path for employees to grow from within. Kennedy's Market became more than just a store. Again, it became a beacon, a place where community truly came first, because someone finally listened when it mattered most. And in the end, John Kennedy learned the greatest lesson a boss could ever learn. If you want to lead with heart, sometimes the best thing you can do is walk quietly among your people and really hear them.